Wabarakatuhu, and welcome back to the Sunday afternoon with your host Asif Hussain. And this is Begam Radio, going out live to the people of Oxford and also going live to everybody else listening to us on digital radio and on the Begam app, which you can download on your smartphone if you have a smartphone, which most people these days do have a smartphone. So if you've got a smartphone, please download the app Begam Radio, and you can tune into interesting shows like myself on a Sunday afternoon from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. It is the month of Ramadan, as you know. What a blessed month this is, and what a blessed people that we are alive today to actually have the opportunity to gain the reward and expiate our sins. So this is, alhamdulillah, a blessing for us, because the irony of life is that we don't know how many souls have passed between the last Ramadan and this Ramadan. And I have this tendency to always say that the Ramadan comes round so quickly. Am I the only one to think that, Musa? Or is it the case?
No, I think Ramadan does go very quickly and comes back around very quickly before you know it. I mean, one Ramadan's gone and the other Ramadan is approaching.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it seemed like only yesterday that I was fasting in last Ramadan, and it comes again so quickly. Anyway, I'm gonna swiftly move on a little bit. I want to give some tips on Ramadan and fasting itself. So I know it's very common when we're fasting, we're hungry all day long, and what comes to your mind, Musa, when you're thinking about iftari time? What are you thinking about?
Iftari time. Normally when I think about iftari time, I'm thinking about what's going to be on the table, what food's going to be made, what I'm going to eat. But I think now that I'm a bit older, I think now when I think about, look at my watch and think how long's left for iftari time, when's iftari time going to come, or it's taking ages, I can relate to why we're fasting, why we feel this hunger in our stomach, the pain in our stomach to want to eat, and we don't eat for 19-20 hours. I know why I'm doing it and what it's for the better cause, better reason. So that kind of keeps me in check.
Alhamdulillah. I think it's very important that we understand that this Ramadan, the fasting, is very important, that it increases our piety, increases our consciousness of God, and it gets us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's the key thing that we need to remember and we need to take away from this month. But what I want to do right now in this segment here is just talk about, or make some suggestions and tips. Obviously, what you take away from here is entirely up to you, whether you take on board what I say or not. Inshallah, it's only nasiha that I'm offering. It's only advice that I'm offering to the listeners out there. For those of you that love your samosas and pakoras, I'm not going to stop you from eating them if you insist on eating them, but I would advise against such a habit. A habit, I say, on the occasion maybe it's okay, but a habit could be very lethal. Just remember this: we fast for the entire day. Now, the benefits our body receives of this fast is that it detoxes and cleanses our internal organs, our internal systems. So if you can imagine, I don't know, maybe a car's engine that's getting cleaned out. It's not been driven for a while, it's been left on the side, and it's going through a service, it's going through an MOT. So everything inside the engine, Musa, you're more technical on the cars, right. The carburetor, all the systems in there.
You're taking out the oil engine fluid, the oil from the car, the oil's black and horrible, or you're putting in new fluid for the brakes or something like that, and you're pumping the old one out and it's all brown and it's dirty, it has bits inside it, and that's all being fed out of the car. And then you have a nice new, the light brown coloured oil going back into the engine, which is a nice colour, a nice type of oil.
Absolutely.
Which goes back into the engine, which helps the engine to perform to its highest and best.
Absolutely. I mean, that's perfectly said, and that's the point I wanted to make, that you are cleansing your body of all the garbage and all the rubbish. Yeah, so everything, all the waste that's in your system is getting removed, it's getting wiped away. So the thinking person would have to question himself or herself: why am I going to open my fast and indulge in things that I shouldn't be indulging in? Why am I going to overload in fried food? Why am I going to overload with sugary stuff? Why am I going to overload with food that is going to cause damage to my heart and to my blood sugar levels, to my cholesterol levels, whatever it be? As much as you are, what's the word I'm looking for? As much as you're craving for that particular kind of food to eat, the fast itself and the process of fasting is really teaching us a lot of lessons about ourselves. It's teaching us about the things that we don't really need. They're not a necessity in our lives and how we become dependent upon them. But in actual fact, we're able to sustain ourselves with a bare minimum. And I think to the person who wants to gain the most out of this month, not just spiritually, but also in terms of, eating habits and your general healthy living, I think it's critical that you think about what you're putting into your system, what you're putting into your body, because it ultimately affects your mood, it affects your energy levels, it affects your whole psychological state, your emotional state. I know that for a fact, so because when I eat something that upsets my stomach, it can affect my functioning for that entire day. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to go through quickly, some of the things that I suggest are very key for you to think about when you're opening your fast. When you open your fast, open with something very light. Remember, your stomach has fasted all day, it's tightened up, it's shrunk, the whole abdomen area has really sucked itself inwards. So open up with, obviously we say with the kajur, with the dates, which is from the sunnah. We open that, and that date releases so much energy, sugars in our body that we need, and it goes straight into our system, and it's like a reaction, isn't it, Musa? It kind of wakes you up. It's like, wow, I've been like, in zombie mode all day, and suddenly now I put this piece of morsel of food in my stomach. It's transformed me, it's woke me up, and that's the impact that it has. And of course, water is something that we don't have throughout the day, especially in these hot days. Water and dates is one of the things, or even milk and dates. But water we need to hydrate the body. We need to get that the H2O in our system, getting it circulating around our body. It's key we get that, and we get lots of fresh fruits that are water-based. Melons, watermelons are great. They're great fruit to get into our systems. Things to avoid, obviously, fried food, as I mentioned, and I know amongst the Pakistani community, pakoras, samosas are the main staple of every iftari. But we need to sort of think to ourselves that we've sustained a fast all day for the pleasure of Allah, that we should think about what we eat, and we should control what we eat. Rather than indulge, we should reduce and have bite-sized amounts, so we don't overemphasize on our food. But we've fasted all day long to control our desire. That why are we letting go of our desires? Maintain that order. That's the key thing that I want to sort of to remember. Avoid anything with high fat, with salts. Don't eat too much carbohydrates. I'm just looking at some of the things that I can suggest here. Isotonic drinks, natural juice drinks when breaking the fast is very good. Good salts like your rock salt, your sea salt, that's very good for you to replace it, any sort of sodium that you lost in your body. And normally what I do, I'm going to talk about more what I do than read from the script over here. What I will do is I'll open my fast with some fruit, with some nuts, with some water, with some kind of liquid, and I will pray my salah afterwards. So I'll spend 5 minutes just opening my fast, having some fruit, nuts, kajur, and some liquid. Then after that I'll go break and I'll pray my maghrib. After maghrib I'll come back and I'll have a meal. And generally a meal consists of some protein. So protein could be in the form of chicken, could be in the form of fish, which generally for me is chicken. So I'll have chicken, a portion of that. And then carbohydrates, your rice, your potatoes, your vegetables, you got your complex carbs, you got your simple carbs. So within that I'd have maybe a portion of that. So maybe some rice, and I won't overfill the plate with rice, but rather I'll have a third of rice, third of carbohydrates. So majority would be sort of like my protein. Then I would use something like, probably put something in like salad. It's important we get the greens in there, so lettuce, cucumbers, onions, tomatoes, get as much of that as you can. And a light meal. Don't have a heavy meal, don't overeat. Eat to the point where you've had enough. You don't need more. Don't push it too much, because your stomach has shrunk and you don't want to over bloat your stomach. So it's important that you control that, because you've been disciplining yourself all day long, so you must have that discipline. Then break and then go for tarawih and come back and have some more food. But the point that I want to drill home to you is very important that you don't overindulge. You eat small amounts throughout the night. And I know that once you've eaten, your stomach is full and it's very hard to eat more. But if you can eat little and light food, look at look at the kind of makeup of the food. Anything that's heavy, like bread, like chapati flour, it's going to get stuck in your digestive system. It's going to make it very hard. eat things that are light, that go through your system very easily. And what you find generally with proteins, they're quite easily digested, whereas something more heavier like your complex carbs like your rice, potatoes, they take a lot more time to break down. So look at the food that you're eating, think about the food that you're eating. It's important that you get the right type of food in your system. That was going to be my key point on that note there. So I'm going to stop on that point.